All right. Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon here on the East Coast. Good morning on the West Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And welcome to the show. Today, I have a awesome guest on. Give me one moment while I introduce them on. One sec. So I want to introduce the filmmaker behind the film Lucid, Mr. Adam Morse. Give me one second while he comes on. How you doing, man?
Hey Brandon, how are you? I'm good.
Good, awesome, awesome. So again, man, thanks so much for hopping on the show. Um, all the way over in UK, I understand. So thanks so much
That's right.
for taking the time to come on. How
Pleasure.
are you?
Yeah. Greetings from London. All's good over here. Yeah.
Just to hit the ground running, in talking about this film, Lucid, I had a chance to see it. Can you talk a bit about how the concept of the idea of this film came to be?
Yeah. So I started lucid dreaming when I was a teenager, and I found myself researching uh, how to practice lucid dreaming and learning a lot of the techniques through reading up online. And I mean, the story in the movie of Zell is largely autobiographical. I kept my own dream diary, dream journal. I had the same job that he has in the parking lot, and there was a girl as well. So it's all inspired really from my own experiences, and that's where it came from. And yeah, I've always been a big lucid dreamer, but always been fascinated with psychology as well, and the power and the fragility of the subconscious.
Absolutely, and you actually are in that regard, ironically, a mind reader, because that's actually what my next question would have been is considering the concept that this film delves into or digs into, just like you were saying, that idea of the subconscious. I was gonna hop into what that lucid dream is for you, and in many respects, are a lot of those things that perhaps you are practicing, so to speak, within your lucid dreaming coming to be now, or
Yeah,
come
so
to fruition now, I should say.
yeah, I mean, I was lucid dreaming while I was writing the screenplay, so a lot of the scenes that weren't completely accurate to my experiences, uh, the ones that I embellished came from me dreaming, and a lot of the time lucid dreaming as well, and imagining these sequences that would inspire camera moves as well. And I would, wake up and then write it all into the screenplay. And even when it came to production and we were filming, every night I would be lucid dreaming while we were making the film as well, and picturing what was going to be happening on the next day on set, and seeing it in my subconscious, and rehearsing a day's worth of filming, and actually waking up quite tired, like, oh man, I got to do that all over again.
Definitely, definitely, and speaking to that, with this film and many of the things that it introduces of, as I was saying, mentioning before, practicing, having a practice go or practice round of things that you want to go after in life. Can you also speak to the casting process, because it deals with alternative, I guess you can say, perspectives or versions of various characters based on the perspective of your protagonist, and obviously in being able to have that read or to have that speak, it can be a tricky thing for acting. You need to have a capable actor that can do that.
Absolutely, yeah. That was, I think, a big draw for not just Laurie, who plays Zell, but all of the actors, because it was an opportunity to play variations of the same character. And for Zell, obviously, he's very shy in his waking life, introverted, and I mean, he's straight up like social anxiety. You know, he gets very nervous in public places around strangers, and so when we see him when he becomes lucid in his dreams, he loses the fear because he knows there are no consequences. And the projections around him, these people around him, are only projections, right? So it kind of gives him the confidence to reinvent himself, you know, and that's when you see him in the gold suit and he has a bit more bravado about him. And it's kind of the reverse as well for the people that, you know, are belittling him in his job at work. For example, his boss, Theo, played by Christian Solomino brilliantly. And it's like, you know, the polar opposite character that is like this, you know, overbearing, tyrannical, you know, nightclub manager that's just basically a bully. And then he becomes like, you know, like a servant to Hell in his dreams. And so that was, I think, a lot of fun for all of the cast and the actors to play, you know, the variations of their different characters through the dream states and through waking states, and, you know, crossing over reality.
Awesome, awesome. And in the process of making this film, you know, I also understand that with the challenges that you faced with, you know, with visual impairment, can you talk a bit about that process where, you know, many things that perhaps a lot of filmmakers may take for granted, you know, in the process that they have in making a film, you know, you found were, you know, were challenges or things that you kind of had to, you know, overcome in, you know, various aspects of putting this film together?
Yeah, putting the film together in the sense of getting it, I mean, like the development phase, prep, production, post, I think that's been the same for me as it would be, as it is for any film director. I mean, my process is no different. I'm using what's in my mind's eye, and even though I'm legally blind, I'm seeing pictures in my head, and my imagination is what inspires everything I'm trying to translate onto the screen for audiences. That's the same with every director. But I think what was different in my experience was, okay, now obviously marketing the film, I have you know, a personal story that is different, I guess, to other film directors, and my journey's been different. But the pitching phase of trying to get the film greenlit and off the ground, that was tough because no one wanted to back a disabled person, and I was discriminated against for years. And then it got to the point where I said, you know what, I'm going to keep this private. So I didn't tell anyone about my condition during the making of the movie, and I kept it a secret because I knew it was the only way that I was going to actually have a chance of seeing this through. And that was always part of my plan, was to deliver the film first, prove that I could do it and make a movie, and then tell people, and let them become aware that I'm actually registered blind.
Gotcha, gotcha. And with that, you know, being said, aside from being a filmmaker, you know, you are a jack of all trades with other, you know, other interests and talents as well. So, can you also speak to, this is going on a slight tangent, but just the your other talents, not just as a, you know, an actor. I understand that there's news in that regard, in terms of see a Apple TV series, as well as what you have with your music as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been very lucky and fortunate to be cast for a recurring role in season 2 of the Apple TV series C, playing one of the new bad guys, a character called Fry. And yeah, I've been working on my music a lot this year, and I'm actually going to be putting my music out for the first time in just over a week, October 9. Next Friday, October 9, I'm releasing a single with a super talented Canadian artist called Isaac, and the track's called When Do We End? And it'll be available on Spotify, Apple Music, and everywhere for people to listen to. And I'm hoping that I can get my first mixtape out in the new year.
All right, awesome. And speaking to that music piece as well, it wasn't lost on me that music played a role in your film as well. So in terms of that component, can you talk to the choice of music that you had in Lucid, and where you were able to pull it from, whether it was from yourself or even from other resources that you had.
Yeah, I mean, there are some tracks that we license and got the rights to, and there were some that we made originally. I mean, there's one track which plays in the scene with the French guy who pulls up in the red Ferrari, and there's this like French hip hop track coming out of his sound system, and that's actually me rapping in French. And
Nice.
the music, I mean, all the original music. The score was composed by Walter Mayer, and he did a magnificent job. And we had an amazing collaboration together, working on how to get audiences inside the head of Zell and make them really feel what's going on in his psyche through the music, and subverting people to something that was electronic, but also quite psychotic as well, to kind of reflect on, what he's going through, and I mean, that was always part of the trippy experience I wanted people to have watching it.
Cool, awesome, man. Well, I would say with everything, obviously, it's not lost on you. Also, the landscape that we're in now, where a lot of things are limited in terms of being able to go out on sets here in the entertainment industry. So, with all that being said, with the various interests and, as I said, talents that you have you found that in in those various interests that one currently you have been getting more leeway with, just based on the circumstances? Perhaps now you're providing more time to kind of gestate on a lot of projects and think on a lot of those projects that you want to develop, versus perhaps being out on sets and performing in front of the camera.
Yes, there's a lot of time saved on running around town, going from meeting to meeting, and all of the relationships that I think are vital to maintain in this industry. You can do it. You can do I mean, obviously, nothing beats face to face and connecting with people in person, but it's still possible
Absolutely.
to maintain
Yeah.
relationships with people over the phone, over you know, and so yeah, a lot of the time that I've spent during quarantine, isolation, lockdown, it's all been developing, writing, and it's been useful, and I've enjoyed it. But we were so desperate to create something after lockdown was lifted here in London, that myself and me and my producing partner Julia Vavar, we said, let's do something. And so we dug out an old screenplay that I wrote, a short film years ago. I wrote the short film and adapted it from a stage play written by Callum McGowan, and we decided, we're going to produce this. So we did it no budget, because we wanted to raise awareness about mental health, and it's called Suppression, and it's a story about how dangerous it is to suppress your emotions and not talk about what's on your mental, and how you need to communicate your feelings to people, because otherwise it can lead to implosion, and be very dangerous. So we've done that just after lockdown, and really excited for it to turn out. It's a two-hander between myself I act in it opposite Gary Beadle, who you'll be able to see in Steve McQueen's new TV series with John Boyega. And basically, Gary Beadle plays a doctor who's evaluating my character, and it's kind of how the tables turn, and this role reversal where the psychoanalyst is forced to look inside himself and address his own demons.
Outstanding, outstanding. Well, Adam, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for your time talking
Pleasure.
about Lucid, man. For those of you out there watching, Lucid is now available in the US. So on VOD platforms, pretty much all of them, including Apple TV, Google Play, and iTunes. Again, I want to thank my guests for coming on the show and being on here. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co-creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. Thanks so much for watching, guys. You're watching it now on Facebook, obviously, but you can also find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD, on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited. And lastly, you can find me, of course, at Brandon Troy ENT on Twitter, and Brandon Troy _ENT on Instagram. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Be safe out there, and I'll see you soon. Bye.